Hello, my name is Mordred and I'd like to welcome you to this Let's Play of Europa Universalis 4 with the Cossacks DLC. We are currently playing as the custom nation of Stormwind, and in the previous episode we concluded the war that we had going with Northumbria down here. In that we took 3 provinces in the peace treaty, so Lothain, Cumbria and Northumberland. Northumberland itself being worth probably about half of their total value at the time. All of their provinces are pretty small except for the marches, and I think it was Essex, yes, Essex. So they've been really quite severely crippled. We also have a truce with them, which is lasting 14 years. So we have 14 years basically in which to recover, because I can't really see any of our other neighbours trying to attack us. Possibly some of the French, you know how the French and the British usually are, but I don't think that'll happen in this. In the meantime, we have some rather more pressing issues. Main problem that we have right now are these rebels. These rebels are growing quite strong, quite quickly, and we quite honestly do not have the manpower needed to tackle them and take them down. So we will be watching those percentages, and once they start hitting 80 or 90%, we're going to have to do another round of harsh treatment. To slow that down, however, our war exhaustion is still very high, and I think it is time that we do spend some of this diplomatic power to burn that down a bit. It's expensive, I don't like doing it, but we kind of have to, unfortunately. We do have a lot of abilities which will increase our monarch point, not generation, but it will decrease the number of things that we need to spend it on. For example, the ideas and the development. These are all plans I'd made in the past for this very situation, although I kind of hoped I could spend that on actually improving the country rather than just saving it from ruin. Okay, so these Aberdonian and the Stormwinder peasants, Aberdonian separatists and Stormwinder peasants, are getting a little bit too dangerous for me. These peasants will spawn in a lot of places, and Aberdonian, yeah, those as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a harsh treatment against both of them. So handle them, harsh treatment, yes. And the other guys, Stormwinder peasants, harsh treatment, yes. So we're unfortunately spending our military points here, but it kind of has to be done. The other thing we can do is start coring some of these provinces. It's still going to be pretty expensive, but it's manageable, and all of these places are quite cheap now because of their low development. So these 3 more expensive ones, I'll just leave them for the time being. This will have a benefit of freeing up some of our trade power, so we'll actually start earning some money. Because right now, I've noticed, we are currently earning basically nothing here in England from the English Channel, which is all these orange areas. The reason for that is we don't actually control any land there. You can see all this grey-blue kind of colour here in the North Sea. That's everything in the North Sea trade node, so the more provinces we own there, the more native trade power we have. What's this event? More autonomy or lose admin. Highlands isn't too valuable, so I'm happy to take the autonomy. 100% autonomy, oh dear. So here in the North Sea we currently control 26% of the total value of this node, mostly because we have so much territory, so that's where we're getting the 54 here from. Okay, so some of our loans are coming through, it's increasing our inflation, but that's okay. We do reduce inflation over time as a native bonus of our country, which is fantastic. Okay, these Reykjavikan separatists are going to go soon. Do I want to spend the time? It's only going to appear in Orkney. How many troops do we have now? 6,000. That's still not enough. We really need more soldiers on the field. Okay, do it. We may have expanded a little bit too quickly in the early game, but we had to do something to curtail Northumbria's expansion, which we have done, but it has cost us. It has cost us quite a lot, really. The other thing that we can do during this peacetime, while we're just kind of waiting for the things to tick over, is play the diplomatic game. So let's take a look at how our potential allies are doing. So they still dislike us, mostly because we don't have a navy. I suspect it's the same here. Yes, it is, even more so. Angola, 51, 55. So Kola is actually the closest to being allied with us, and getting a navy would go a long way in assisting that. Do we have any missions? Missions. Create a proper fleet. Reduce overextension. creating this proper fleet will require us to use 75% of our force limits, which will mean something like 14, 15 ships. It's too expensive. We cannot afford to do that in any reasonable time frame, so we're going to reduce the overextension, because that is something we're planning to do anyway. And if we do manage to do that, then we will get this diplomatic reputation bonus, which will make getting alliances with the others easier. So that's a good thing. We have another election. Our leader. Okay, so our leader is currently 52. Now what I usually try and do is get someone in their 30s or their 40s and then I'll re-elect them. The main reason for this is they'll be around longer. Every time you re-elect someone, you lose a chunk of Republican tradition, so in this case 10, but you also gain... Sorry, coughing there. So you also gain 1 point in each of the monarch points, which is really quite nice. Therefore it is quite viable to pick as one of your starting options a bonus to Republican tradition accumulation over time, or by going, which religion is it? Protestant, and then picking one of the schools of your faith to be the tenant, which allows you to have more Republican tradition as well. Otherwise it just kind of climbs up slowly over time. You really do have to juggle whether you want to keep your guy around, because the penalties for having a low Republican tradition is quite bad, and if it drops too low then you will actually flip to a monarchy. Anyway, in this instance we still having to spend military points on rebels, and we still want this military technology, so I'm going to stick with the military leader here. Oh, and we're 90% chance of a rebellion, so let's deal with that too. Which one is it? Stormwind? No, it's the peasants. Help, help, we're being repressed. Yeah, well, that's your lot in life, I'm afraid. Long live the class system. I'm joking, by the way. Okay, so that's that going. Oh yes, I was talking about the Republican tradition. One of the things which we should look at, and this may well really help our rebel issue actually, is by raising stability. Stability is basically an indicator of how prosperous and how content your people are, and you raise it through the spending of admin points. And as you can see, there's a pretty hefty penalty, 32.5% for our overextension. That will go down. We are already coring some provinces, and the coring provinces reduces your overextension. But it also is reduced by the amount of, the price is increased by the amount of Republican tradition you currently have, and that is can become really quite hefty. So generally you want to try and keep it above 70-80% if you're able to. Of course, sometimes you actually want to switch to a monarchy. You fed up with your republic, or if you're a merchant republic and you want to switch to a monarchy, that's one of the, I wouldn't say easier ways, but it's certainly a way of switching out of that. Okay, peasants again. My gosh, how quickly are they climbing? I really don't want to fight these guys. I could give them more autonomy, but that's going to reduce the amount of money we're making, the amount of manpower. I'd really rather not do that, because every time you increase your autonomy, you're basically increasing it by 25, which reduces the unrest by 10. We've only got an unrest of 3.8. Can we reduce war weariness anymore? Yes, we can. I think we should. This might well help. It has, but not enough. How much is this still giving us? Okay, I'm going to risk it. Hopefully this will mean that it's actually going down. Yes, it is. Fantastic. So we've solved some of our problems, and the other rebels are going to be a lot slower in accumulating. I'm not too concerned about spending diplomatic points at this point, primarily because it's what you need for trade, and trade in the early game is really quite weak. It's in the mid and late game when you start getting colonies and you start really shipping goods around that trade comes into its own. Yes, it's nice to have the extra money from trade, but it's really not vital, and as you can see from our economy stats here, trade is our least profitable venture right now, even though we have a fairly high efficiency thanks to the number of burghers that we have in our provinces. Aragon is done with our diplomat. Hey Aragon, do you want an alliance yet? Oh no, they're not even close to wanting an alliance. Okay, let's head away from there. Cola, how are you guys doing? Okay, we can definitely improve with you. And Cola was the closest, I seem to recall. Yes, they are. So let's continue, or restart our improving relations with them. And we'll do it with Sweden as well. We do have the 2 diplomats, so we'll keep going. Actually, this may not be the best idea. Are Sweden and... yes, they are rivals. Rats. In that case, I do kind of prefer Cola over Sweden, but Sweden's more likely in the long term to be friendly. Maybe we should really be trying to get like Jutland, or maybe even Picardy. No, Picardy dislike Brittany, I'm fairly sure, so they wouldn't become an ally. Yeah, see, Picardy. Cola is just so much more powerful. See, these are the kind of decisions you have to make when you're playing the diplomatic game. If you're just going and attacking everyone, then diplomacy doesn't matter nearly so much, but actually that's totally not true. To be really effective in this game, you need to play all facets of it. You need the economy, you need the trade, you need the military, and you need the diplomacy. Yeah. Has the Emperor died yet? He has not. And he's been around for 10 years. I really hope that's not bugged. It's a much more interesting game if you actually do have a Holy Roman Empire, particularly when the Reformation occurs, because the Empire basically splits between the Protestants and the Catholics, and the Emperor is really quite important to that, because the Emperor is basically fighting to either maintain the... is fighting to maintain Catholicism, and then you usually have the rebellious Protestant princes who are basically saying, we want to be Protestant. And one of the rules behind this is, to be the Emperor you have to be a Catholic, and the Protestants are saying, well, no, we want to change the rules, so you have to be a Protestant. Or if there's a white peace and neither side wins, then you can be either. It doesn't really matter. There are bonuses for either side. And very often, even though it's kind of a Germanic centered fight that goes on, the other major powers around will also get involved, because they want to either maintain the status quo, or they want to build up a certain faction or reduce the power of a certain faction. Or, for example, if you're Sweden and you're Protestant, you want to support the Protestant faction because you want a powerful Protestant Germany, because they're more likely to support you in your wars against, for example, Russia. Okay, so the cores have been done. This means it might actually be viable to spend some money on increasing our stability. I think it is. This will increase both our money and reduce the amount of unrest we're getting. So we're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Every point above +1, and you can go up to +3, costs you more. So you can see here, positive stability plus 50%. It is a lot more expensive, so we'll stop there. And we are able to actually repay a loan. We are going to go ahead and do that. We're down to 1 ducat, so we're really not very rich, but so it goes. Okay. Clergy. The clergy actually want some land now. I wonder if that's because we've grown beyond a certain point, because the clergy didn't really care before. Anyway, we're going to have to give them some territory. Let's see who owns what right now. So the red will be the nobility, the blue are the burghers, and then the hashed are no one? Yes. And then orange is the capital. And red is somewhere that you cannot... oh no. Sorry, yeah, red is nobility. So let's give the clergy some land. We'll give them Western Isles. It's 3. And if they really want it, the Highlands too. How are we doing? 4%. Overseas development, overseas development. How irritating. We're basically going to have to give all of the land to the clergy, I think. That's basically what's going to happen here. So Fife and Cumbria, certainly. Clergy. One benefit of giving land to the clergy is they actually reduce the amount of unrest in an area. That's actually kind of good to know. I had not realised that. Unfortunately, I think it does cost a bit to switch between them, and of course you'll upset the other factions if you do switch who controls what land. We have now got negative unrest. This is fantastic. So there are no more expected rebels. That means we're not having to spend any more money on any more military points on keeping the rebels down. This also means that we should be fairly close to getting military technology, because you can see we are accumulating. Political crisis. Lose a stability or lose Republican tradition. We still have 100 Republican tradition. We fairly recently elected the new guy, so we'll leave that. We're currently generating 1.1 every year, so it will take 9 years to restore what we've lost. And we can't give any more land to the clergy because we have no more to give. Except Munster. I'm not giving them Munster. So we'll just have to wait for some of the more expensive of these to be finished. We could start coring them. We have no more war exhaustion, so we may as well actually. Northumberland we definitely want cored because it's just such a rich and powerful place. I'm going to core Cumbria with the express intent of giving Cumbria to the clergy. Okay, so Brittany has got into a war with Languedoc. I have no idea how you pronounce that. Languedoc, I guess. So they are in a... Brittany have declared war on Languedoc. Languedoc is allied with Northumbria. Fantastic. This is not a war I particularly want to join, to be quite honest. Brittany didn't do much in the last war. I don't want to fight Northumbria again. So I'm going to decline this. It will break our alliance with Brittany. But so it goes. Oh, we do actually massively outnumber Northumbria right now. Oh yeah, because we destroyed their army. Well, we're in no position to take more land. This would have just kept the alliance with them. So now we can start making friends with their neighbour in Picardy. I think Brittany really kind of made a big mistake declaring war on them. That's not a fight they'll win. Oh, we have another election already. That went quickly. I'm not used to playing it on 4 speed. I usually play on 3. Anyway, we probably don't need the military advisor so much anymore. We have 10%. In fact, we can get the military technology, which we'll do in a moment. We could use some more admin. Admin always seems to be hard to get. Yeah, let's go with the bureaucrat this time. And we will take the military technology, so we now have level 4. This means we do have the more tactics and we have more land morale. I'm kind of wondering if I should have joined that war. Oh well. Yeah, let's stop relations with Cola and then start relations with Picardy. Of course, breaking that alliance is going to make it much harder to make an alliance with anyone else because it will have reduced our trust. So basically now if Wales gets attacked, we kind of have to assist them. Kent. Yeah, I don't really want you, Kent. You're still a one province. Let's start working on Picardy and see what we can do. Why are we losing money? No, really, why are we losing money? I guess we've lost some trade income? A little. I'm kind of surprised by that, because now that we've cored these provinces, we should actually be earning a significant amount more money. But we're not. Well, it's a very, very small amount, so hopefully that problem will rectify itself soon enough. How long until those cores are done? A while yet. We're losing even more. Sorry, I paused it there for a moment to try and work out why we're losing money, because that deficit is increasing. I kind of suspect it's because we are getting most of our army back now. So I'm going to completely reduce the army maintenance. See, that's already boosted it a significant amount. It's most likely because we are getting a lot of... yeah, that was it. Okay, so the problem is, when you have manpower in your manpower pool and you have troops that, or regiments that need men, it costs money to send those men to those regiments. So by completely cutting off maintenance, there's no more men going to the regiment, so you're no longer paying that fee. So it's a good thing. we're going to start earning money again, and we're going to start actually building up our manpower pool again, which is brilliant. And we're making money. I like money, 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 money. Yeah, see, Brittany, oh, they've taken one province, and they've, I don't know, I think that's going to be a close fight between those two. I couldn't really call it. Who else is Languedoc at war with? Just Brittany. Calais is up here, there, Ross, and Sardinia. Sardinia wouldn't be an issue there. Down here. Right, and we have some more admin points, so that means that we could finish that last province, which is excellent. That means we'll be fully consolidated, and now we can basically just focus on paying off the loans. Merchants are being harassed. We can get more loyalty for a diplomatic casus belli against Northumbria. That's fine. One thing I should explain are what casus bellis actually are. In order to go to war with someone, you need a reason for war, that is, a casus belli in Latin. If you do not have a casus belli, well, don't have any diplomats to send, but basically you will suffer a stability hit, quite significant ones, like -2 stability if you do that. So you always want a reason for war. One way of manufacturing a reason for war is to fabricate a claim. This will hurt your standings in the international stage if you get caught, but it's basically a guaranteed way of facilitating a war. There are other ways. If you have a legitimate claim, so for example the mission I got at the very start to attack the Highlands, that was a legitimate means. Or if you have a core province already in someone else's land, so if Aberdeen were now to take Fife, I now have a core on Fife, so I have a reason to take it back from them. Likewise, they have a reason to declare war on me to take it off of me. There are other ways, so if you have differing religions and you have certain religious ideas, here, this one, Deus Vult, then you can basically declare war on anyone that is not of your religion. And later on you have like colonial casus belli, so you can fight over which colonies you rightfully own. You can attack primitives, that would be natives, both in Africa, in North America, and I think in Australasia too. And then there are many, many others. One of them more significant is the coalition, which I was talking about before. Oh, we've got influenza. I'm afraid influenza requires harsh measures. Where is this? This is in Meth. Meth is fairly valuable, but we're going to have to quarantine it because I don't want it spreading. We lost a cardinal. That's one thing I have not gone into at all, is how religion in this game works. So each religion has their own mechanics underpinning them. We are currently Catholic, so Catholic would be the easiest to explain. Basically, you earn papal influence over time. You can increase that by making friends with the Pope, and I have no idea who the Pope is in this game. That is one of the problems of the custom game. They may not even be a papal state, I'm not sure. And then with this papal influence you can then get some of these bonuses up here. Those buttons will light up. So if, for example, you can start levying church taxes if you have 50 influence that you want to spend, and that will increase the amount of money you earn. Northumberland's ours, so that should significantly boost our own cash. So yeah, that would basically increase your tax modifier by 15%. You can do it to buy up stability. That's fairly expensive, but stability is expensive, particularly when you get to the +2, because it costs like 200% extra admin to get that. Languedoc did beat Brittany quite handsomely. So France is beginning to get united. I wonder if trying to get Languedoc on our side would be a better idea, because they don't have the negative trust, or do they? Yes, they do, unfortunately. Oh, and they're allied to Northumbria, which they would never do. So no, we definitely want Picardy on our side. And we very nearly could. So if we didn't have the trust penalty, we could get Picardy. And if we had a navy, we could get Picardy. But I still maintain that we need to get this loan paid off. Our inflation is rising pretty rapidly. It's now 3.8%. What inflation basically does is it increases the cost of everything. So if you're trying to build a building, it will be 3.8% more expensive. If you're trying to raid troops, it will be 3.8% more expensive. Ships, etc., everything. And if you start hiring advisors, and they will become very important later on, it raises the salaries that you have to pay them. And advisors are extremely expensive, but really quite worth it. Okay, so the Burkers want old rights. That means that they take some of my tradition, but they gain more loyalty, or they cost me stability. I don't want to give up my stability. It's kind of what's keeping my empire together right now. Okay, so Guy in Picardy's done. We should probably start having more of a look around. Who's Languedoc? Dislike. Picardy, Aragon, Algiers and Gascogne. Okay, so our ruler has just passed away. This means that we can immediately elect a new one. We probably still need the admin points. Yeah, admin's just such a strong category. There are so many things you can do with admin points that if you're not behind, or not too far behind on military, it's very much worthwhile getting. Still don't have a mission. That's something I totally forgot about. We're going to be at peace for a while, so I'm actually going to allow the manpower reserves to recover. It's a mission that isn't usually too effective to get, but probably worth doing. Okay, so we can now give some more land to the clergy. I was going to give them what's still outstanding. Let's have a look. Where is still outstanding? I don't remember giving them Northumberland. Have I gone mad? Or did that just happen automatically? Because we caught it, and then I kind of forgot about it. So if we do give it to one of the others, it reduces their loyalty by 3.4%, but their loyalty is already 73%, so that's really, really high. We don't want to give the clergy Northumberland because it has a very high trade power, and we want that boosted further so we can really dominate this North Sea area. I think I'm going to give them Cumbria. Oh, it's already got them. I'll give them Ayrshire then, that's fine. Give that to clergy. Come on, how much more do you want? One more. Lithane, you can go to the clergy. There we go. Everyone's happy now. I wonder why the Burkers are getting it automatically. Don't know. Okay, so some of the other things that you can do is these interactions, which I haven't even looked at. So in exchange for loyalty, and this is a temporary negative, so in 10 years time that 5 loyalty will actually recover. I can get them to give me more money. This is something I probably should be doing. I wish I'd looked at this before. Yes, I want money so I can pay off some of these loans. So you want to repay the top loans first, because they'll be the next ones to come due. Why is that not going? Come on. Kent has declared war on Northumbria. What? Are you mad? Kent, you're a 1-province minor. That's what I call suicidal. Wow. Yeah, Kent's not going to last long. Why would you do that? That's ridiculous. Right, so why can I not repay this loan? No, I can. 43. Let's do it. So what other interactions are available? We could demand diplomatic support, which would cost even more loyalty. I don't particularly want to do that. We could cost prestige. And they gain influence and loyalty. We get a minister, don't want that. We get an admiral. See, these are all new things with Cossacks, and I just haven't really spent the time to look at them, so I really ought to do that. You get free ships. Wow, that's huge. 10 loyalty. They start the construction of 5 carracks for 0% of the cost. That's massive. Yeah, I want that. I want 5 ships. That would be amazing. Then I could actually get naval superiority again. Culture accepted. Because we've expanded so much in Scotland, basically, Scottish is now part of our cultural identity. So anyone who is Scottish we now I like, basically. Wow, these things are really, really powerful. So we have gained a claim on Lancashire. Well, of course we have. Lancashire is rightfully mine. And Yorkshire should still be burning. I really dislike the fact that Yorkshire is worth so much more than Lancashire, though. That's not right. Well, I still have a couple of years until I can declare war on them. Let's see. Yeah, well, it's only 4 years. Might need to start preparing. I might actually be able to save Kent here. That would be amusing. Has Languedoc gone to war with... Oh, they have gone to war with Picardy. So, I was talking about claims earlier. So I now have a legitimate claim to attack Northumberland, or to take Lancashire, which gives me the casus belli to attack Northumberland legitimately. I don't need to do any covert operations or anything. So I can get military support. So raise levies is loyalty for manpower. Emissary to the Pope, so that's changing influence for papal influence. It's quite nice. Kent has Kent lost the war. What a surprise. You imbeciles. Truce with Brittany has ended. Well, that was only because we lost the war. So if I accept this alliance with Picardy, and I probably should, and that would likely draw me into a war against Languedoc. They do not currently have Northumbria in the war. So who's Languedoc at war with? Picardy, Hainaut. Oh, they're at war with Aragon? Oh, they're in trouble. Yeah, I'm going to take this alliance. This is a very good alliance to have, because I do reckon that they will beat, with Aragon's help, bearing in mind how big and strong Aragon actually is, they will be able to take that. Anyway, I'm afraid I think that's all we have time for today, so I'm going to stop it there. Recovery is proceeding. We are getting there slowly but surely. We are slowly paying off these loans, though we do still have 736 outstanding, but we are earning more money over time. Autonomy continues to decrease, and that increases the amount of money we're making. We have 5 large ships, which is amazing on the way. I can't believe that. It's such a cool bonus. And generally things are looking fairly sweet. And 4 years, oh, that's truce. Is that still? Yes. That's very tempting. If Languedoc's going to be busy fighting against Picardy and Picardy's allies, I might well pick on... Oh, they've lost their alliance. They're only allied with Aberdeenshire. That's excellent, actually. Because that means I can then also attack Aberdeen, and they're only allied with each other. So basically, what you can do is co-belligerise an enemy. So you can say, I'm declaring war with Northumberland, but I'm also, at the same time, declaring war on Aberdeen. Ordinarily, that would call in the co-belligerents' allies too, but because they're only allied with each other, that doesn't really make any big difference. So I could start going after the lands of both of these. And depending on how my aggressive expansion's looking, it's only actually high with Northumbria. Everyone else has completely forgotten what kind of sadistic person I am. So I could actually take a very large chunk of land from both of these. So I could, well, for example, vassalize Aberdeen and then in time annex them diplomatically, and that's a different process than just conquering. And I can just steal more land from Northumbria. Yeah, we are in a pretty strong position. I'm totally going to reverse that in about next episode, I'm fairly sure, but we'll see what happens then. Until next time, thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and if you do have any comments, advice, tips, etc., please do comment on the video. I'll be quite happy to read it. Thank you, and I'll see you then. Bye.